I really hope I got the right. I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. I always get so weird and paranoid when I go live. I don't know why. Part of me is like, this is not a good day for me. So, what I did last night is I only did half of my workout. I really need to do a health update. I'm kind of just like, I should totally do that because I think it's time. But I'm starting to split my workouts now where I'm just doing legs and then arms. So, like tonight, I'm gonna have to do arms because I wasn't getting as good of a workout, I think, just because of where I'm at. But I'll have to talk about that later. But the point is, I feel a little bit less dead today than I usually do. But I still feel like nervous and really gay and weird. So I'm still affected by the gym. So that's all I can say. Um, I really should make a schedule with these streams, but I don't. So then I just spend time like talking about nothing for a minute. But hello. Hello, Llama. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was time. This time you would think it would have gotten me a better number on the scale, but it didn't. It's a myth. The Hannah Talks Bodies myth. I remember a year ago I did a video about her, or I did a video trolling her when she was like, I could shave 5 pounds with a loofah and a haircut. And I was like, I tested it out and it wasn't true. So I think I barely lost a pound or something. I think I barely lost. It was like not even a full pound. So lies. Complete lies. Hello. Hello, Astro Chick. Hello, Cool Cat. It's been an interesting week. My length of videos was a little weird this week where I had like really long ones and really short ones. I don't know. I feel like that's not the best algorithmically, but whatever. We do what we want here. I do have a long one coming Monday, just so you know. I guess I can tell you guys. I don't have to keep it a secret, but I did a collab with David from Not David. So that's going to go up Monday. I need to do a thumbnail and just slight editing, but that'll be fun. And then I need to do a health update. So I need to do stuff. Just keeps moving. You just keep it going forever and ever and ever. That's how YouTube goes. You just keep going. I thought they'd hate those types. Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't even know. I don't even know what to say to that. But I agree. It is interesting. That's all I can say. Okay, let's see. Lady White says, "What are your best resources for hypo?" I just found out I had it right as I found your channel. Oh, nice. Um, it's hard to say because most of my research is kind of independent in the sense that like I look at studies myself, I look at things myself, and then I also I have to, I also have experimented on myself, which I know is really crazy to say, but I have. So most of it is very kind of independent. I do have a podcast with my friend Lisa that we did like a strong first episode. We still haven't done more on it, but it's called The Fat Construct. And I should try to link it. Hold on, let me try to link it in the chat. But that's kind of where we have combined research together. We have a Substack where because Lisa like wrote it all out basically. So 1 second, let me get that for you. I need to like have that on. I don't know. And then I swear YouTube is just like not. I can't even find it when I look it up. It's so weird. Okay, let me try this. Fat podcast. No, it's not giving. Yeah, that's really bad. Okay, I've just found it. I'm just going to link the first episode. But that's where we really kind of broke down some of the research because to get into it more on that, basically. Let me just find the stream. You guys know I'm horrible with technology. And I feel like I should be better at that, but I'm not. And then for some reason, every time I post a link in chat, I'm paranoid that it's like the wrong link. So no, I don't personally take meds. The only thing that I'm taking right now is I take stinging nettle root, which it's an anti-aromatase herb that's meant to bring down estrogen, which I don't know if you do know, but estrogen opposes thyroid hormones. So that's what I personally do. Other than that, I don't do anything. I've taken other herbs throughout my journey. Sometimes I take things on and then I take them off, but that's the only like medication that I take. But I don't think my hypo isn't from a lack of production. It's from like horrible binge eating and fatty liver and just things like that, where it's like you can't just medicate that away necessarily. It's like a lifestyle thing for me. Let me see. Any advice for when I go through a few days off deficit? Honestly, you just get back on. It's not a big deal. I really don't think it's a big deal at all. I think just if you keep doing it, then you'll probably stagnate. Like you'll probably stay the same, but even that is better than gaining massively. So, because I've had times where I can't stay. Well, I don't know though. I usually am in a deficit. It's actually very rare that I'm not, but some days it's like a very, very tiny deficit. It could be like a deficit of 100 calories, right? It's not exactly like weight loss city, but yeah, I mean, you can always do maintenance some days too. It just depends. Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough deficit. I would just say honestly to exercise, it takes time. Like you have to kind of build up your especially carb metabolism, because a lot of people on the channel, they've been talking about insulin resistance. That is a huge part of the issue as far as hunger. So you have to get in the habit of like walking all the time or exercising, and it can take months. And then even for me, like my insulin resistance got a lot better after I cut the seed oils, but it still took 6 months. So it's like, it's a long game. It's not a slow thing. Like it takes a long time. That's why I really resent the narrative of like, I lost 200 pounds in 1 year. It's like, okay. Like to me, I'm like, that's really rare. That's like a very rare thing. But I think, you know, you just gotta, you know, realize it takes a long time, basically. So don't feel bad about that. And then I always talk about the seasonal aspect too. So like in the winter when you're hypo, it's harder. And so you tend to eat more and you tend to need to eat more because you're exhausted, basically. So I just don't feel guilt about it really. Especially if I'm not binging, because it's like I'm just eating more. It's like you have to kind of, at least for me, that's what helped to change my mind on it. Astro Chick says, it reminds me of POC who complain about white people, but they exclusively date white people. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I I don't know. I feel like for some people it's an F fetish, I guess. But I just wish they would keep it to themselves, because nobody's interested in that, in my opinion, anyways. I'm not. You can do your weird stuff in the bedroom. You don't need to, project that on everybody. Hi, I just found your channel today and I really love your videos and your commentary. Thank you so much. I think that FA does that too. So I feel like a lot of them, they fetishize being thin. which is interesting because they say the exact opposite. But then they're like, my partner is really attractive because he's thin, and it's like, okay, 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 calm down there. Calm down. It's like, do you guys talk about that in the bedroom or something? Like, does that do something for you? It's just cringy. People are not interested. I'm not interested in what they're doing. Let me see. Blank Space says, I watched a video of yours from like a year ago. Your progress is amazing. Thank you so much. It has been, gosh, one hell of a thing. Like, it was really hard last year. Like, I tried to talk about how difficult it was, because I'm the kind of person where I try to be really honest about, like, how difficult it is, especially from a super huge size, but it is easier for me now. So it does get easier. I think that that's equally important to talk about. But when I was, like, super huge, I was so like, now that I'm where I'm at now versus where I used to be, I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, it's so much easier." It's so much easier than than losing when I was really big. Um, it really is. It's kind of, like, unfair how much easier it is. So I feel like a lot of times when people are like, "You're just eating too much and you're lazy and whatever," I don't think they realize it is so difficult. As even, like, when I was over 50% body fat, it was so hard to be in a deficit. Like, I used to call it being underwater. It is so much harder when you're above 50%. And then when I got under 50%, then it started to get a little bit easier. And then when I got out of super morbid obesity, then it became a lot easier. Now it's way easier than it was, like, drastically easier. So I think that's why I talk a lot about in terms of super morbidly obese or super morbid obesity, because it is truly a different experience within weight loss than other sizes, in my opinion. And I'm still morbid. It's not like I'm great or anything, but I am where a lot of people start, where I'm kind of in that, like, I have 100 pounds to lose type of zone. A lot of people start here. It's so much easier. I will just say it is, like, drastically easier. Um, it's not even a comparison, honestly. So, yeah, don't think you're crazy if it's really hard. Because there's this narrative that it's just so easy to lose weight when you're really huge. It really isn't. Because you're probably, like, really hungry. Like, I had horrible health effects in general. Um, I try to not forget how it felt. And that's why I'm glad I have my videos where I documented it, because I can remember what it was like at different levels. And it's really awful to lose at that size. It just is. Um, let me see. What do you tell yourself when it feels like your progress isn't fast enough? Um, I try not to think about it that way. Honestly, I probably just don't think about it because it's not like all you can control is your behavior. So if your stuff is on point, then it will come eventually. That's kind of how it is. It's the same way the other way around, like, fat people, they sometimes will or, fat activists, they sometimes will talk about how they know so many people that eat so much and then they never gain weight, but they are going to gain the weight if they keep eating that much. Like, eventually the body will change. It's just the way it is. Thank you so much, Abby. I appreciate that. Annie says, I've seen plenty of skinny guys that are not attractive. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm not h I'm not the type where find everybody attractive. Like, it's like I can see something attractive in most people, but what I like and what I want is usually a very specific, like, I have to like the look of a person, and then it's like a personality or like a quality of the person that I really like too. So it's actually both, which makes it really difficult and horrible. And so, yeah, I mean, just being skinny wouldn't necessarily mean anything to me either, is what I'm trying to say. There's more to it. for sure. Menstrual makes it tough too. Yes, I would definitely believe that because you'll probably want to eat more, at least at some point in your cycle. So it's difficult because you have to it's like you have to honor it a little bit, but not too much. It's like difficult for sure. But I would just try to utilize exercise whenever possible. I mean, not to be like insane about it, but just, like if you're totally um, sedentary, try not to be. That helps a lot. Let me see. So yeah, I wonder if I should read some comments today. I'm always dead every day. I'm just kidding. I'm just tired all the time. No, I think I'll talk about Skinnylicious, which is funny. Um, so I think for me, I have to be super strict on my thyroid protocol and stuff at this time because I keep saying, which is really gay to say it this way, but I keep saying like I'm currently doing a whole ass Eras tour because I'm doing like the 2 jobs and then the gym at the same time. So it's like I'm doing so much that I have to be really strict because it's like I have enough energy to sustain it. But if I were to change anything, it probably would fall like a house of cards. So it's difficult. Like this is a difficult time for me, but it's not difficult in terms of like the diet and losing weight is difficult. It's difficult just in terms of like life stuff is difficult. So, you know, that's kind of so it's like I have to be really strong energy wise. And that's why I have to be so strict. So it's like this feeling of being on a tightrope all the time. It's really not great. But you do it, because at least I can. Like previous years, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't. I would have been too tired. I don't know if you guys remember like last year, but for some of you guys who were there, like I would post and then I would just stop. And then I would post again and then I would just stop because I kept having to stop because I was so sick. I was so ill. So yeah, it's not easy. What is your thyroid protocol? Okay. I need to come up with like a very short way to say it, but essentially remove seed oils from the diet, um, and avoid estrogenic foods. So I tend to avoid legumes in general. I also avoid it's really about lowering your ratio of polyunsaturated fatty acids. So things like I won't even have corn. Corn is a little bit too high in polyunsaturated fatty acids for me. I tend to avoid grain in general, just because it's a little bit more estrogenic than like fruit or even sugar. So I don't have grains personally. That's very strict. I do it very strictly, but it's because I have to, because I trashed my body basically. And then, like I said, at this time, I have to have hella energy. So I have to be really strict. So, like when I was at Skinnylicious, I told them to take off the corn and the avocado because avocado is polyunsaturated fatty acid, or it has some, it's mostly monounsaturated. So it's not actually like a bad food to have, but it's a little bit higher than like other foods. So I don't eat it at this time, and then I don't have like grapes. Grapes are estrogenic, um, strawberries, like just certain things like that. But I have to be really strict because again, I'm already like on razor's edge, right? So like for Thanksgiving, we have a lot of like cornbread based stuff. And I had like strawberry ice cream and things like that. And I got really, like, it affected me mentally because the estrogen was so high in some of the stuff I was eating that it's like, and then I'm like, ooh, and it like makes my mind all weird and stuff. So I have to be careful. So, because my liver isn't great. Because if you have a fatty liver, it's like you can't process it that well. But it used to take me like days to come down from that kind of feeling. But now I'll come down in like a day. So I do think my liver's better, or it can kind of get rid of the estrogen. But it still takes like a day where it's like, and I feel weird because it's like my body isn't quite, it's like chug, 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 it's like, ooh, like the liver's like, ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. Yeah. So for me personally, keto did not work whatsoever. But yeah, so I would just say if it's working, that's fine. But if for some reason keto starts to not work, don't be afraid to like incorporate fruit, if that makes any sense, because it's not going to hurt. Like you'll be fine. So that's what I would say. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you were feeling better because just sometimes reducing, like even just cutting seed oils, you cut out a lot of processed food because most of it has it in there. So it's like, it kind of makes you think about food differently, anyways, because you have to cook yourself and stuff. And so it's just different. Like when I first started, I would have a lot of like my own desserts and stuff that I would make. And it helped because it's like, it's more filling. Um, it's a lot more filling too. Cause like I used to, like in 2021, around Christmas time, me and my family, we would make, no, so I don't have peanut butter personally. I don't. Um, I don't really eat legumes at all. So, but like I said, that I don't think that they're bad foods. It's just not helpful. Like I don't even have salmon. Salmon is high in polyunsaturated fatty acids. So I would avoid it because it makes me swell. So it's like I'm on the razor's edge here. It's like I'm doing great. But if I like go off and like try to like venture into something, I can swell. Like I remember one time I tried to have salmon jerky at Sprouts, and I gained 6 pounds of water from eating that. Isn't that crazy? So like the next day, I weighed 6 pounds heavier because I had a slight amount of the polyunsaturated fatty acids in salmon. So it really depends though, because like if you're not hypo, nothing's gonna happen to you. It's like you're fine. Like you don't need to worry about it, right? Like that's why I don't think that these things are like um it's not like a universal thing. But like if I can't even handle salmon, if I were to have peanut butter, it's like it would be the same. It'd be like, and then you get moony and everything pretty much right off the bat. So it's like, oh no. But it's because like when you're so big, the polyunsaturated fatty acids that's in your fat cells is constantly being burned. So it's like I'm always eating seed oils within my body. So I'm adding more, it just makes it worse, basically. And that's what people don't always get is that it's ratios. It's not about like, oh, I went to a restaurant and I used a little bit of canola to cook my steak. Like that doesn't really matter. It's more so like how much saturated fat is in that meal versus how much polyunsaturated fat and how bad is the ratio because it should be, more saturated than polyunsaturated. And most people have a really high polyunsaturated. So that's like your peanut butter, your almonds, your fish, like salmon, your almond milk or something. It has really a lot of polyunsaturated fat. But that's like more of the health food issues. But obviously, like McDonald's French fries is like totally high in it, or like anything fried at a restaurant, it's usually made in seed oil. So those are really, really high. So like chips are really, really, really bad because they're very high in those fats. So it can totally throw off your balance. And that's why a lot of even thin people will feel like crap if they go to like McDonald's. It's because of all the polyunsaturated fats they had and it threw off the balance. But usually with them, they just burn it off in a couple of days or something. Like it's different. But when you're super morbidly obese, it's like, oh my gosh, you have like hundreds of thousands of calories of it every single day, like it's just circling in your body. So it's a lot. So I think that's really where my hypothyroidism comes from, which is why I don't pursue medication because I'm not having an issue producing. It's that it can't be utilized correctly because of my shitty diet that I had for many years. So You can damage yourself. That's like when people say you slowed your metabolism or you brought your metabolism down. You can do the same thing by starving yourself. You can slow the thyroid or slow your metabolism. You can get it back, but you have to put work into it, you know? So, because that's a myth too, where people say, oh, like once it's gone forever. Like in some cases, if your thyroid is damaged, then you'll need to be medicated. But if you're medicated, then you can get your metabolism back, at least relatively. I mean, the only thing you can't change is your age. But age, it's not, people exaggerate how much age affects it. So it's mostly your metabolism slows because thyroid function is undermined for various reasons. Either a shitty diet, you have autoimmune issues, Hashimoto's, or you have a fatty liver. Even just having a fatty liver can give you hypo, or you're an alcoholic, or you're smoking weed every day, like that can give you hypo. So it's like there's lifestyle factors. And then if you don't have any muscle, like if you become really atrophied, that really slows your metabolism a lot more than something like age. So it's important to stay active, basically. Yeah, that's really interesting about your own body recycling the fatty acids. Yes. So that's why, like, when people lose weight, they can feel depressed or they can feel weird because it causes hormone fluctuations because that balance is being constantly shifted. And when you're super morbidly obese, those feelings of fluctuation are extreme. Like they feel really huge. Like it's like huge waves over you while it's happening. And now that I'm just morbid, it's like smaller waves. And then probably as I get even smaller, I probably wouldn't even feel it anymore. And that's where a lot of like thinner people start, where they're like, oh, I have 30 pounds to lose, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't even that hard. I just cut my calories and that was it. And it's like, yeah, because you're not having these drastic swings in hormone fluctuation that a super huge person is having with each pound lost. It can feel like crazy and it can make you feel crazy. So it's like I had that experience through every weight loss attempt where I would feel crazy, because I was just so big. And then last year, I just had to deal with it because I had already had so much momentum behind me that it was like, I can't change the direction. Like I would have had to like binge on, McDonald's French fries for a few months. Like it takes a long time for the oils and stuff and the fats to build up. And then it also takes a long time for them to go away. So in order for me to change direction, I would have had to eat like tons of McDonald's fries for months, and that was never going to happen. So it was like I just had to deal with it. And then I had like psychological effects just because like I wasn't as sick anymore. And I was so sick for so many years that I didn't know how to function without viewing myself as a sick person. So it's a lot. And I think a lot of very big people, they struggle with that. It's like, who would you be without all these issues? And can you handle that being not in your life anymore? It is a big ask, and I understand that. So I try to keep that in mind when I talk about obesity, of how big of an ask it is, because it is. But at the same time, it doesn't matter how big of an ask it is. It's like really important. And it's so much better for you to be at a healthy weight. And even if it takes years, it doesn't really matter. It just, because even just starting to go in the right direction, it really helps your body and you can get better. But for some people, it's going to take a while. Like they're going to have to go slow because it's a lot. And yeah, for me, it was really just like I have to dive in basically because just the kind of person I am, like once I realized what the problem was, I'm very like, I'm just diving in and I'm cutting it out completely and I'm not doing it again. And so I didn't, you know. And so it's like, it's for me, that process of like getting better from that is probably happening about as fast as it could from like one of the worst places you could start because I was very, very bad when I started. That's why I couldn't even really do the channel or like I couldn't it was just crazy. I wish I could I wish there was like a simulation that people could have. Oh, thank you so much, Ahart. I wish there was a simulation where people could feel what like horrific hypothyroidism feels like. That would be like amazing. I'm like, I want you to feel how hungry you are. I want you to feel how tired you are. I want you to feel the hypo haze. I want you to feel the rigid thinking and the I have to do this because of this, and I have to do that because of that, and this and that, and da 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 da. Like, there's all these like mindsets you have. I wish I could have you guys feel what it feels like to be really cold when it's not even cold. like, like last summer, it's like 75 degrees in this room, and I'm like cold. It's like, whoa, and that's because I was losing weight. So losing weight makes you feel more hypo too. Then I remember I used to feel that way. Like I'd be like, why do I feel cold when I'm counting calories? And nobody ever told me. Like when I was like a 20-year-old, I was like, why am I feeling so cold? And nobody told me. They're like, I don't know, whatever. And it's just like, okay, like I wish somebody would have been like, it's because you're hypo. Would have been like, oh my God. What? It's a good thing you're smart and we're able to figure all this out. It sounds pretty complicated. It is. It's complicated because it's multifactorial. So that's how hypothyroidism is. It's the same as obesity. So it's like you can become hypo through different means. There are many paths to hypo. It could just be it could even be that you're under eating. That will cause it because you can't produce the hormone if you don't have any building blocks. It can be that you have a diet that is, eliminating an entire food group. So like if you're a vegan, it's really hard to have strong thyroid function on a vegan diet. It is like almost impossible. And then with keto, it's similar, but if your body can convert the protein to carb really well, then you're probably fine. But you still have to have carb. Even if your body is just converting it, it still has to be there to have good thyroid function. But some people, they can't do that. Like for me, my liver is fatty. My liver couldn't produce it. So when I did keto, it would make me hellaciously, horrifically more hypo than I was before. So it is complicated, but that's why I try to always tell people like you really have to look at it yourself and just see where you're at and then make decisions. It's the same with obesity in general. Yeah, I get plenty of iodine because I have a lot of dairy. That's where I get the majority of my iodine. So I make sure I have a very strong dairy source every day. Because when you're hypo, having calcium is really important too, because your body burns through calcium really fast. And then I'm even finding like my body is going through iron really fast. So I need to like have more iron. But it's a lot. I mean, and then losing weight is kind of a to-do. Yeah, it is a lot for sure. I want to work with my friend Lisa. We want to write a book on it. But it's probably going to be a while, so it'll probably be like a few years, but I do plan on helping her do that. Cause I don't want to write. I used to be a writer, but I hate it. I'm done. I'm not a writer. So, but yeah, I mean, it's complicated, but it's also not that complicated. Like, I guess the simplest way to put it would be just like, just eat whole foods. That would be like a good starting point. Don't be afraid of meat. Don't be afraid of dairy. Exercise, get sun, just have a healthier lifestyle, be sober. All that would help a lot of people. Like most people are not as bad as I got. I got really, really bad, but it was through years of binge restrict cycles, basically, that damaged it so bad that I had to like be extremely strict to get out. And I'm still not completely out. Like I would consider myself probably like halfway out, basically. But I'm a lot better. Um, I'm so much better than I used to be. It's like without even saying the discipline it takes to do all this, it really does change you. I feel like I gained a different kind of self-worth from being accountable to myself and starting to actually trust myself. Yes, I agree so much with that. To choose the good things for myself. Yes. Yes, and then just it's a lot of self-advocacy. Hello, Nicole. It's a lot of self-advocacy and it's a lot of like having boundaries and just telling people like, "Hey, I'm not going to eat that because it's just not good for me at this moment." And I can't say that I'll never ever have anything ever again, but what I can say I honestly probably will never have is I will probably never have like a conventionally fried food again. That I probably won't ever do, but, like, if I went to Cheesecake Factory and I wanted to have a slice of cheesecake and it had a little bit of seed oil in it, I probably wouldn't trip about it in the future, but not now because I have to do so much work that I'm like, I have to have a lot of energy and be in a good spot, so I have to be super strict because I'm doing 2 jobs. So it's like focus, and that's tough. So if I didn't have to do 2 jobs right now, I probably wouldn't have to be as strict. Like, I probably could have corn, I probably would have avocado, it's like I probably could do certain things where even if it would make me feel a little bit more tired, it probably wouldn't be a big deal, but because of my, whole thing. Oh, I don't know, LD. Thank you so much, Nicole. Say my journey to lose 100 made me a better person through a new outlook on life. Yeah. I mean, I think it's helpful just because like for me, I never prioritized my physical health like before. And again, I was in a very specific, very severe type of state that was through years of abusing my body and years of getting to that point, right? Like, so I think too, like, people are not usually as bad as I started. And so for me, it's like I'm very, very, very strict. And it's because I was that bad, where it was like I had to be, or I didn't think I would make it, basically, because it was that bad. Most people don't ever get as bad as I got, like, honestly. So most people, it's like they probably, if they're hypo, they're probably experiencing like 20% of what I did or like 30% or something. So it's like just a few changes, like just not eating fast food, for example, would be really helpful. And that might be enough, especially with medication or something where you'll be totally fine. Or like if you're drinking too much, just like not drinking anymore. It's like things like that are usually what people need to do. Most people don't have to be like as super specific and like really strict and like know all these different things that I had to know because you usually don't get that bad. But because I did get that bad, I know those things. So I know what to do like for deathly hypo basically and how to get out of it through diet stuff but it's a long road and you don't ever want to get that bad. Trust me, because it takes years. Like it's taken me years. I've been at this since 2021. So it's like it's a long time, but it took years to break it down. It probably took, 15 years or so for me to get as bad as I got. So it's a process both ways. It doesn't break down that fast. You can't just like be totally healthy and then all of a sudden you're like dying of hypothyroidism within a day. Like that doesn't happen. It's like a slow process where it builds over time. So I try to make that clearer, you know. But when you're super morbidly obese, the odds of you having some kind of hypothyroidism is extremely high. And it could be worse or it could be better. It depends. But there's usually some kind of element just because your fat is producing so much estrogen that it's likely going to make you hypo, even just based on that alone. So it's tricky. My overeating went into overdrive when I quit drinking. Nice. Only 2 years later, I'm just now fixing my eating. Yeah, that's tough. You have to be careful, that you don't just transfer addictions, basically, because that can happen. Um, that definitely can happen. So be careful with that, but obviously you're figuring it out. But yeah, you do have to deal if you have, like, an addiction or something, then you do have to deal with the mental aspect because you'll just find another way. It's like you'll find another way to abuse your body. Um, let me see. Gosh, I'm having a hard time with this chat. I had a pack of crisps that are that food for me, a trigger food of a kind for the first time in 6 weeks, and I was just shocked by how much I didn't even enjoy them that much. Yeah, I mean, the brain changes. I really get frustrated with the narrative that, like, your brain will never change. It will always get harder. Like, there's so many articles and, like, people that say that, and I just don't think it's true, but it's because they don't ever look at, like, a very long-term thing. The literal glow up, though, your skin looks amazing, especially compared to videos even a few months ago. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do have a zit here, but I do appreciate it. I mean, it's because I'm becoming less hypo, basically. So it does show in a lot of different ways. I'm waiting to see if my hair will be less thin, but actually looks better a little bit. So I don't feel as hypo now. I really don't. So I think it is getting better. Almost like it was an emotional attachment and self-soothing food. Yeah, it could be. I mean, that sounds BED-ish, so be careful with that. It won't let me send a super chat. Aw. I wonder why. I watched some of your older videos and I have and you have come such a long way. I agree with people here. You're looking very healthy today. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are sweet today. I wanted to tell you it's very hard to admit weight gain in the sense that it is clearly, yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's good to just give words to it too, because that's why I would always say on this channel that I represent the midnight reign of weight loss. So it's like, oh, thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much, Nicole. Um, because I feel like it's a really cheesy thing, but it's a Swifty coded thing. But it's basically like a lot of times on YouTube and online, people talk about weight loss in like the sunshiny way. So it's like, I did this and I feel so amazing and it's so easy and you can do this and blah, blah, blah. Like there's that aspect of weight loss where it's like that kind of like I did it and just go for it, which I think is important. I'm not saying that it's bad to have that, but I like to cover the other side of weight loss, which is the midnight reign, where it's like that kind of dark, hidden side to it that people don't really talk about. The emotional aspect, right? Like all these different things. That's what I try to talk about, the emotional, the hormonal, the ED, right? Like all these different things that people don't talk about or that are kind of forbidden. I try to bring light to that, or I try to talk about it on this channel. That's my approach. But I'm so glad that you guys are, resonating or being helped by it too. I think that I'm just like, I try to like come at it with like, what do I wish I knew 10 years ago? And so I just like will say that, because it's like it was a lot. I just started tracking my food yesterday. Which apps do you think are the best? So I've been using this one called My Nut Diary. I don't listen to their diet advice because it's kind of like, you know, honestly, it's kind of anti-thyroid. So I don't listen to the diet advice because they're like, you have too much saturated fat and you have too much salt. And I'm just like, fart on you, diet advice. But but I do like the way that it looks and I can scan. So I do like it in that sense. But you guys can see I've had 596 or 597 today so far. I only had coffee and bananas today. I was like, I'm just gonna go live, just have bananas. But I like that app a lot. So that's what I've been doing. OMG, speaking of bad food tasting bad after you're not used to it, I tried some M&Ms recently and it tasted awful, like old-timey baking chocolate. That's so funny. I haven't even had that in so long. I don't even know, but I have chocolate. Like I have things. I just have ones that like don't have soy and that kind of stuff. So it's like I don't feel very like I guess for me too. I've done it for so long. I don't really feel restricted, but I totally would understand somebody feeling that way. My in-laws are really thin. Let me see. With hypo, the seed oil thing can make a big difference even for smaller people. Yes. Often with people who are smaller, they'll heal really fast. So it's like if somebody's super hypolicious, that's what I like to call her. I should like make a shirt one day that says hypolicious on it. But if you're super hypolish, but you're thin, if you just like change your diet or like change things, you can heal really fast. Like probably within 3 or 4 months, most of your symptoms can go away. So like the seed oil thing, especially if the thin person is like heavily relying on those in their diet, just eliminating it can change really fast. Because for me, the reason it takes so long is because I'm so fat, basically, because the fat is just a big thing of seed oils on you. It's like it just keeps you going, basically. It keeps the hypo living on. But if you're thin, you don't have that. So you can heal pretty fast, you know? Like, especially if somebody was like, oh my gosh, like maybe they're not producing. So they get a medication and then they change their um, diet and maybe don't have seed oils anymore. That could heal really quickly. It could be pretty much resolved within 6 months. So, but for me, it's like a years long process because I'm so fat. So it's difficult. It's harder when you're fat. It is. Those things are harder. But if I was thin, I probably would be like the thyroid queen right now. It would be like crazy because I'm so strict. It would be like, whoosh, you're amazing, like, but because of the fat that's like this anchor on my metabolism, it's like, like I have to like kind of scrape along, or like I have to do everything to be normal. So it's like I'm at a point now where it's like even being morbidly obese, I can function like a normal human being, but I have to be perfect because if I were to like have some corn chips or something, I would be dead. I'd probably have like an anxiety attack and then I would like crash. And then I would be like, I don't know, I can't do my work anymore. And then I'd probably like start crying and everything. I mean, it's horrible. For me, for some reason, I think hypo affects everybody differently, but in my family, it seems like it hits our mental health first. So we get really weird mentally if the hypo is off. It's like wherever your body, like some people will get arthritis or stuff, like it just depends on how it hits you. But for me, it's like it hits me mentally first. So it's like I feel it immediately. Like I probably would start crying and stuff. It'd be really extra. But so I'm like, I can't do that. I can't just sit and cry like I got too much to do. Hello, Nadine. Um, I think it was just the wording. Oh, okay. I like control my weight by calorie king. It's simple. Okay, interesting. I haven't looked at that one. Control my weight. Okay. Hypolicious. Yes. Yes. Soy lecithin soy lecithin, it's actually the fat of soy. So it's poofalicious. I mean, obviously it depends on how much you're having, but if it's like a tiny little bit in something and you're not hypo, it's probably not a big deal. But I would not have it personally because I'd be like, "Ugh, I'm tired now." Like for me, it would probably hit me like, oh, I'm so tired. And it's like I can't be tired. I have to function. I'm my fitness pal gal. Yeah, that's funny. Love that, Abby. It's strange, isn't it? I can't really eat fast food anymore. It feels too greasy or just not as nice as I remember. If I don't have it for a while. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, I totally agree. I haven't had it in forever, so I think it was one of the best decisions I ever made to stop eating fast food, honestly. It's I ate so much of it, though. I've eaten enough for like probably 2 lifetimes or 3 lifetimes. Like I've had a lot. Um, yeah, I agree with that, Laura. Honestly, given how some of the pro Anna girlies act, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they had hypo. They probably do because you have to have nutrition to have a functioning thyroid. So you can get that. And again, it does affect you mentally too. It definitely does. We are so used to certain combos of foods that are formulated for maximum addiction that when we revert to whole foods and less sodium and sugar, our palate resets and those foods become too rich. Yes. So I will say with the caveat that that tends to happen for thinner people. So when you're still fat, you still will crave hyperpalatability. But that's why I would just say it's better to just have the sugar and sodium and whatever without the seed oil because you don't really taste it anyways. It's not really doing anything other than messing up your satiety. So, like, what I would do in 2021, like around Christmas, chicken Christmas time is a really tricky time for a lot of people, especially in the northern hemisphere because it's winter. But we would make fudge. So we would make like fudge with butter and sugar and chocolate, basically. Like I think we'd use like sweetened condensed milk or something. And we would eat that. And it was so filling. It was like, holy crap, it's so filling. Versus like if I were to have like a thing of Oreos, it would be like I ate nothing. It would just go down like nothing. It'd be like, oh, I'm ready for another box. Cause it's like, it just doesn't hit you. And I think that people don't always understand like how much people are like eating that are fat. I think because so many fat people lie about how much they're eating, that's like the hyperpalatability of certain foods. It's not going to really affect your calorie count because you're already eating like a huge hog anyways. So it's like just change it over and just eat certain things and you'll be so full you'll naturally eat less, basically, unless if you're in like a throw of BED or something and you want to eat so much that you're going to puke. But most people don't feel like most people aren't like that. So it's like, yeah, but when you're thinner, like even for me, there are times where my thyroid is functioning better and things do feel too sweet. Like I've had times where sugar feels too sweet and it's like, like it's like overstimulating or too much. And so I do think as I continue to lose weight, I probably will have less hyperpalatability in my food because it's like it becomes overstimulating like after a while. And even for me, like I used to eat like whole bags of candy. And now I really have like the movie theater ones. So that's like a huge change that has happened. Like I sometimes will have it, but I usually have to be pretty hypolicious to have like a big thing of candy, which I have been lately. I've been hypolish, but it's for good reasons because I'm burning a lot of fat. But basically, like when you become less hypo, things feel very hyperpalatable. And so I think that's more commonly a thinner experience because you're not so like crazy like that. So it's like, you're just like, oh, this is so sweet, or oh gosh, this is so salty, or oh, this is so this, or it's like this is too greasy. Whereas like when I first started, it was like I was just like the Hoover vacuum and I just had to eat everything because I was dying. And like everything tasted amazing and everything was like, because I was just so hypo and so hungry. And then it just started going away. So it's a process. But yeah, I agree. Like, especially like a Dorito. A Dorito is like such an engineered food. It's designed to make you not full, basically. That's what it's designed to do. So if you're eating like cartoon food, those are not cartoon calories. Your Halloween costume should be an angry thyroid. Oh my gosh. I would have to be a witch, a heart. Don't play with me. I might try to do it, but I never have any money, so I never can dress up, but I love to be a witch. Another thing I love to do when I have a boyfriend again is I would love to dress as an angel and then my boyfriend could be the devil or a demon. Because I'm an angel, because I'm amazing and good and pure. And my boyfriend can be the evil one. Anyways, I always wanted to do that. I never was able to. So someday I will. You will see that one day. But I'd have to be a witch. Always a witch. Um, Even the fruit as we know it is grown and made to be as sweet as it is by careful selection and years of getting it to that point. That's true. That's a good point. I've saved so much money since I cut back on fast food. Yes. Oh my gosh. I so agree. Especially now. It's so expensive now. Like when I was growing up, they would often market it as like more affordable. And it's like, you can't do that anymore. It's not. Would you eat a plain meat patty from fast food joint? I feel like that might be one of the only safe options. My eyes are plumb. We're not from scrutinizing ingredient labels for Ceto as LOL. I think it's probably one of the best bets, like in a desperate situation. Yeah. I would say that would probably be okay. It's probably like not great quality meat, obviously, but I wouldn't like live off of it. But if I was on like a road trip, then I probably would. Does that make sense? So it depends on your context. Like when I was flying pro thyroid, it was kind of tricky because all I could really have was like candy, basically, just like not even that great. And then I was like starving when I finally landed because I had like nothing. And I was also kind of broke too. So it's really nice to like traveling hypo, fat, and broke. It was like, whoa, like that's like could hear the Gen Z TikTok shotgun noises, like like I could hear that because it was like, ooh, it was a lot. Um, so I think I literally just had Sour Patch Kids and that was it. And then I wasn't that hungry though, which is good because I'm usually like freaking out whenever I'm flying, especially as a fat ass because, the world is horrible, fat phobic, evil, right? So it's just, that's all I think about when I'm flying. No, but it was a lot because I flew Southwest. So I had to like deplane and board like 50 times. It was horrible. But, it is what it is. So, anyways, in that kind of situation, I probably would have like a plain meat patty, especially now. Like maybe not when I was like 100 pounds heavier or 90 pounds heavier. But at this point, I feel like my health is good enough where I'd be like, okay, I'm going to be fine, but that's still pretty strict. With your fatty liver, did you have problems producing enough L-tyrosine? I have that issue with mine that can affect your mental health. Okay. I have to see what that is. I will definitely look into that because I'm always researching. I know for me, I know at this time I do have low dopamine. I can tell, but I think most people that are obese have low dopamine. But I don't know if that's connected to that. But I need to look at it. So I'm gonna research it. So thank you. Always learning. Um, Yes, go ahead and say cartoon food. Same. I'd love to dress up, but I'm a minimalist queen, so I just reuse stuff I already have. Fair enough. I thought you said you were a Swiftie. Duh. Of course, Jordan. Don't even play with me. Don't even play. I literally I have I call it the tortured lesbians department. I have a tortured lesbians record on my couch and I look at it and she's laying in that hoe position on her bed and I have it. So I see the tortured lesbians department all the time. And I love it. And I love Guilty as Sin. It is everything. That's like my introvert queen hoe anthem, basically. That's how I felt. It's my introvert hoe moment with Guilty as Sin. Anyways, I love that you're the one who gets the halo in the relationships. Of course. Of course. But I tend to like guys that are more wild than me. So, of course they'd be the devil. Of course. Duh. Good Omens cosplay, which is why I don't fly Southwest. Yeah, I understand that. I understand it. I mean, I liked it because I flew in 2022 and like American Airlines was horrible that year. And I was like, I don't want to miss a flight or something in Southwest. Like, I would at least get to my destination. Because like the American Airlines in 2022 was so horrible. It was like you could literally just have a flight dropped or something, or like they would constantly delay flights, and it's like you'd miss your other flight. And so that's why I flew Southwest. It was like out of desperation, but I at least got there, but it was horrible. Okay, I think one of those things I sent you said something like L-tyrosine is needed to make dopamine. Yes, that's interesting. Yeah, I agree, Annie. I would be careful with the fast food things. I would definitely have like a quarter pounder at McDonald's meat patty, not necessarily the regular ones. And then I know Taco Bell is like soy bell. So yeah, totally agree. When McDonald's ones don't. I used to work there. Of course, the only patty is the new volume. Yeah, I love how I said that, and I didn't even read that yet. I promised you I did not read that yet. But yes, exactly. Flying Southwest out of desperation has to be most of their customer base. I'm sure it will, because like, I don't know, especially as a fat ass, like I felt like it was the Hunger Games every single time I had to board. Like I was just like, oh my God, this is so horrible. Like I was dying. I really was dying. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like it was just, ugh, I was dying. It was horrible. It was like literally like every single time. Honestly, I'm going to thank my friend Zeta, because she had me fly out for my birthday to LA I went to San Diego in 2022 on Southwest. And I shit you guys not, after that experience of flying, like when I got back, I was like, okay, I'm counting calories, because it was definitely like the final straw that broke my back. Like I was already thinking about counting calories because I had reached like a level of hypo at like that big size, and I wasn't getting any better, because typically I would feel better with the months. But from like March until August, I stayed the same. And I was like, okay, I'm reaching like this glass ceiling. But I went on the Southwest extravaganza. And after that, I was like, I'm counting calories. And I started right after. So honestly, I'm going to thank Zeta that she may have helped. She gave me that final push towards counting. But a lot of it was my friend Lisa as well, because she bought me this scale that showed me like body fat and stuff. So I could see like when I ate more calories, I would gain fat. When I ate less calories, I would lose fat. So that helped too. But it was like my metabolism had recovered too, where like I was okay. I was good to go. I was good to lose weight. I was weight loss approved by my body. My body was like, let's go. They're okay. They're definitely okay. It's not completely accurate. So like, not to be too graphic, but like if you, I don't know how else to say this. I'm just going to be really scarring. So just bear with me. If you're full of shit, it will register that as fat. So be aware of that. And then if you get like a haircut, like if I get a haircut, it would register that as fat. So it's not completely accurate, but it's reasonably accurate. Yeah. But I have the Inevifit scale. But just keep that in mind. Like if you eat like 5 pounds of pasta, it's going to register that pasta as fat. So it will like give you a bigger body fat percentage. So you have to kind of like look at it, but overall it does pretty well for me. Like I can have enough of an estimate. Like I know I'm around 39% body fat, and that's really helpful. So yeah. Thank you, Life After Losing. Skinnylicious. I'm Skinnylicious at Cheesecake Factory. That was so funny. Oh my gosh. I was dying with that menu. It was too good. So how do you live knowing you're an amazing, miraculous outlier? Oh my gosh. Honestly, as a Swiftie, I just realized that all these people are basically telling me I'm Clara Bow. I look like Clara Bow. I'm the special girly pop. I'm special. I'm the outlier. I'm the next Taylor Swift. I'm Stevie Nicks. You know, I'm the girl, I'm the it girly. That's what it is. So that's how I see it. I'm like, okay, you're telling me I'm Clara Bow. I'm special. I'm the one. Yes, exactly, Jordan. It's not main character syndrome if you are the main character. Exactly. I'm the special it girly of our time, you know? That's what I think in my head anyways, because I'm like, yeah, okay. Did you have a lot of haters in your ear when you started to lose weight or decided you wanted to? I didn't have like a lot. Most of the hate that I got at the time, I had some vegan haters, which I know is really weird. But I basically they were angry that I was trying to lose weight or trying to get my health back by eating a lot of animal products. So that can happen where like if you lose weight in a way that people don't like, people will get upset. I personally don't care because I know that people there's different causes to obesity. So it's like all I'm here, like what I can say is I can speak to the hypo side and the BED side of it because those are things that I have a lot of experience with. But that's about it. Like not everybody who's big has, you know, like I said, they might have some level of hypo usually because of the estrogen, but it could be not that bad. You know, it doesn't have to be as bad as it was for me. And not everybody who's that big has BEG. So it's like, it depends, but there's usually something, but usually it's like a food addiction or something. And that might help somebody, like a bariatric surgery might help somebody who has a clear cut food addiction, you know? So it really depends on the situation. That's why I don't really judge, but a lot of people do judge. Like they're like, you're just lazy, you're just doing this, you're just doing that. And for me, it's like I don't judge all the time, but I would judge. Like if somebody had BEG and they were taking Ozempic, I would kind of judge that a little bit. Cause I'd be like, you need to be really fucking careful that you are not in your EG. Like if you're using that. And anybody with any EG, I feel like Ozempic is like a minefield for anybody. Like people who undereat, I think it could be really abused. So I'm just like, you know, I don't like the idea of it being thrown out like candy because it can be really harmful with certain people. Jordan says, you opened my eyes to a lot of this stuff. I was okay, or I eat okay, but never really been overweight, trying to eat better and just to eat better instead of being a thin person who eats garbage. Yeah, pretty much. You'll still feel better for sure. I want you to record an intro of you spinning like Stevie Nicks now. Oh my God. Did Samira feel pressure to order off that menu? I don't know. Maybe she wants to be skinnylicious. Maybe she does. Maybe she wants to be skinnylicious. She has an innate hidden desire. It's a forbidden desire of hers to be skinnylicious. I don't know, but I just went for it and it was all good. It was fine. I survived. I didn't cry after. I was completely fine. But for Laura and Randy, speaking of hypo, lol. But for real, people will be jealous because of your mindset and how it's getting you success. I do think so, especially because I'm very loud and vocal about it and very disagreeable despite being feminine. As I told you guys, that's my most masculine trait. I'm very disagreeable. And so people are always thrown off because they're just like, you know, like, who the hell are you? That's how people act. And I disagree with them. They're like, what the hell is that femi voice saying? And they're just like, what the hell? Like, how dare you? How dare you disagree with me? Basically. I was a long-term vegan and now I eat everything and cook with either bacon or fat or tallow. Yeah. I used to be like somewhat involved in the vegan community because I liked like vegan drama and stuff. So, it's a lot. I know. I know about it. I mean, it is. It can be a lot. I've been vegan, but I don't think I'd ever be vegan if I was trying to lose a lot of weight and build muscle tone. Yeah. Yeah, it can be tough. I mean, some people do lose weight being vegan. If they can keep it off, then power to them. I'm not bitter about it. I don't care. It's just, but a lot of people don't. And a lot of people gain massively too. Like for me, whenever I would try to be vegan, I would gain weight because I'd be so hungry. So it just really depends, I guess, on the person. It's wild because I was vegan starting in 2006 when it was so DIY. You want cheese, source a bunch of random ingredients. Now it's just another flavor of corporate food diet shit. That's so funny. I would do a mukbang of all animal products just to piss them off. I did that once. I did. I didn't have a lot of vegan haters though. I have to keep you guys like, you gotta be like, I gotta keep the perspective. Like my channel was tiny. So I had like 3 vegan haters or something, it was like really little. It was not like I had an army of vegans after me. So I just want you guys to understand that it was a very small amount. Oh my gosh. Um, just it would be hilarious if she ordered anyway because she was hungry, not insulting her. Just a funny concept to call a menu messed up and still eat from it. Yeah, that is funny. I'm not risking the weight loss meds side effects. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, just with my ED history, I just don't I'm not gonna do it. And I don't have to. Like I'm losing weight without it. So that's fine. But I do get irritated when people that take Ozempic are like, you just don't like Ozempic because you can't have it. And it's just like, no, I have questions about it. Like I don't personally care. But it's like, for me, it's like, ooh, and I just feel it that people abuse it. I can just tell. But, if they have any control of their dosage or anything, maybe they don't. Maybe that's an impression that I have that isn't accurate. But if somebody would, it's like, ooh, you know, the vegan drama was wild. Yes. Yes, they are. Carnivores are also wild. I agree, Laura. Totally agree. Have these people who think women are agreeable ever spent time around women? I know. I have 5 sisters and plenty of scars from fighting with them growing up. That's so funny. I don't know. It's a good question, but it is an impression, I don't know if it could be a gay thing. It could be like, sit down and shut up. You're too FAG to speak up. I don't know. I have no clue. But all I know is people are like, "What? Because I don't I don't know. I just don't care. So oh my gosh. I was vegan for 2 years during the Freely the Banana Girl. Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh my gosh, vegan drama peeps. I watched all that, so I knew about it. I knew about it. I lost 70 pounds on a whole food vegan diet, but couldn't sustain it. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if you can keep the weight off, then I'm gooch. It doesn't bother me. But if you can't, it's like you don't have to be, I think that's what people need to understand too. Like you don't have to. Um, Freely Vegan Gains, the one vegan drama channel with the blonde dude, Durian Ryder. I know exactly who you're talking about. I know it all too well. And I'm just happy that you don't recognize me. You don't recognize me from my era. But I know exactly who you're talking about. Gotta go to the store. Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. I don't know how true it is. I read that Sharon Osbourne couldn't keep losing weight. Can you just like stop Ozempic and do the side effect stop? What happens? Um, I think a lot of people regain. I think just because their hunger comes back. But I should definitely look into it because I know for a lot of people it's seen as like a forever thing, which I think it makes sense in a way, like if you have diabetes and all that. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if people shorten their doses. I would be interested, in hearing about that for sure. Like, I definitely wanna do more research on it. But yeah, I'm not a black and white girly when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I think there are people that it genuinely helps, but I think there are also people that it could genuinely hurt. So it's like, it's just something to question, that's all. I wonder if it is a forever thing for weight loss or if it's just a marketing play to keep the money flowing. I don't know. It's a good question. I've seen some anecdotal stories of people who said they got off of it and it did help their relationship with food even after they got off, but I feel like they probably utilized it correctly. Because I think for my opinion, it's just when people like when they go on this like mindset of like, I'm just gonna um this is my miracle pill, and all I have to do to get healthier is take Ozempic. It's like I feel like if somebody has that mindset, it's really negative. Like that's a very negative way to look at it. But for people who are like, it's a part of a diet plan I'm doing, it's a part of, I'm counting my calories, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm still doing everything I need to do. And then it's like, yeah, I think you're gonna have great results. So it really depends on the person. Cause that's the thing too. Like you can't just blame the drug. You have to also look at what somebody uses it for and how they use it. And so, yeah, my friend has diabetes and lost a ton of weight on a similar drug. I think it's helped him. So I'm happy for him, but I'm a little nervous for him as well because I honestly don't think he would have lost the weight otherwise. And that's the thing. Like, I think it's better to have lost the weight in some cases. Um, because it could just help him get out of that. I don't know if he was super morbidly obese, but it is genuinely harder to lose weight from a super morbidly obese perspective. Like it definitely is. So if that drug could have helped him get out of that, then that's like a positive outcome. But I don't know if he has to continually take it forever. Um, I don't really know what the answers are to that kind of thing. I just know for me, I wanted to do it as naturally as possible. And that's just how I wanted to. And and I've done it basically. It's like I'm doing it because I just want to show myself in a way and also other people that like you can do it on hard mode. Therefore, you can do it on, any mode basically. It's like you can do it. So it can be done. And even if you're just like not super hypo, like just if you just counted your calories, you probably would lose weight. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like people don't understand that. And you don't have to let obesity get so out of control either. Like you don't have to like blow up like a huge balloon. You can stop it earlier and it's so much better to prevent yourself from getting to super morbid obesity. And I always try to push for that because it's like for my own research purposes and the fact that this ended up being my work or like what I'm talking about online and things like that. I'm glad that I've experienced it because I know what I'm talking about. Like I've been there. I know it's like to be super morbidly obese. And so for my own research purposes, it's really like I feel like I've experienced everything from the total floor of hypothyroidism to, climbing up the steps and I can kind of see a whole spectrum. So I feel like I can understand the whole picture especially as I get out of it completely. But for the average person, I would just be like, please do not ever go there. Like, don't ever get that bad. Don't ever become super morbidly obese. It's not a pleasant experience. It's very awful. My sources trust me, bro. I mean, it's like, if you really want to know, you really want to see how awful it is to be super morbidly obese, then I guess go ahead and blow up. But it is awful and it's very hard to get out. It's very difficult, but you can get out. So I always just say on here, it is difficult. You're not crazy. It's not, it is a difficult situation for you, but you can get out. Even though it's difficult, you can get out. And that's what I try to say because it's like a pit. And I feel like at this point, I feel like I'm yelling from the top of the pit, like, "You can get out. You don't have to stay in, like, you can get out of it." But it is difficult and it will take time, and there's weight loss and gain and all these different steps to get out, and you can. So it's like, just know it's possible, you know? I think that's really what I try to tell people because I've been there. I know what that's like. So it's like sometimes you just need a bit of hope, you know? But if Ozempic helped that person get out of that, then it's like, that's good. That's probably what it should be for, or, you know, what it could actually help somebody with. But I just worry about like long-term effects and these kinds of things. And that's what we don't know yet. So I understand being worried, but sometimes it can help kind of break out of that physical cycle of like hormones and stuff. It can be really difficult. Um, that's right. It's not even about being skinnylicious. It's about being a healthy weight where you can fully enjoy every aspect of life. I totally agree. Life after losing. Um, I feel like subconsciously I would eat healthier because I don't want to take shots and spend a bunch of money for nothing. I mean, that's fair enough too, you know. I think that that could be part of it for sure. But some people, they take it and they still try to binge, and I think that's horrible. Um, so I would just be like, "Oh, no, no, no. No, 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 no." Um, I mean, damn, the fat lib space is proving how bad it is every day. Yeah. And for that, I appreciate it. I would say like the 1-2 punch for me personally of Cove and FA TikTok, those two things, it really hit me in 2021 where it was like, it is no longer acceptable to be this fat. Like, I have to get out of this because it's like the world had changed. As you guys know, that disease, it really affects you if you're really big and it's not going away. You know, it was like, I just realized I'm like, this isn't going to ever go away. And FA is making it so unpalatable to be that big. So in some ways, like they kind of are causing the opposite of what they're trying to do. Like, I feel like they're making people hate fat people because they're so awful. So it's like, I don't know, it's really like a combination, you know, of factors, but those two things are like, it's not acceptable. I have to change now, like, or I cannot stay this size like for the rest of my life. And I didn't want to anyways, but it was like definitely that's what hit me of like gave me a lot of motivation in 2021 to be like, okay, let's get out of this. Like, no, this is not it. I'm quote unquote overweight now because I'm up 15 pounds due to muscle, getting that Mewtwo body type. Oh my gosh, love that. I'm glad that you are sharing your story because I've learned a lot about how hormones, thyroid affect weight gain and mental health. Also inspiring that you're losing the weight sustainably. Thank you so much. Beyond the film. Thank you. Like I agree with the parts on wearing what you want and not letting people disrespect you, but you can't pretend this is healthy or fine. Right. Right. Which they really do. They really do pretend that it's fine. I've lost 82 pounds since May 2023. I was 340. That's amazing. That's so good. I also just really hate this party line they have of health isn't a moral obligation. Yeah, I mean, I think in almost every single religion, it is actually a moral obligation. So, I mean, maybe if you're totally a-religious, but even if you were completely like not religious at all, even from like a super atheistic evolutionary standpoint, it's still like it's just not logical, I guess. It just doesn't make sense. So I think it's like I think pretty much regardless of what you believe, health is kind of important, you know? It's like it's something that you need to maintain as much as you can. So yeah, it's interesting. Like being as healthy as possible to help your family and community should be a given. I don't know, man. I mean, it's logical, it's moral, it's a lot of things. So it's like I think it's a good virtue to take care of your body. And I think that they really hate that for some reason. It really upsets them. But it kind of proves that they probably feel a little guilty about it, you know? I like being healthy. Oh, I already read that. Let me see. Have you ever been tempted to join the fat acceptance movement before you started losing weight? New subscriber, by the way, love your content. So I have not. I think for me, I always knew it wasn't it, or I always knew that it was fad. So even back in like 2015, I was like, the parts that I did like about it was just like, I don't need to wait to live my life. Like I can live my life now and I can do things even though I'm fat at this moment. So like those kind of things, that was good. And it wasn't like society shifted a bit where it wasn't like the only thing somebody saw was that I was fat. So that was good. Those were like the good parts. But other than that, no. Basically no. Because I already had health issues from a pretty young age. And so it was like pretty obvious that this was not sustainable. And I was always trying to lose weight, but I was caught in BED cycles. So I had a severe ED. And so it was like, I'm trying to lose weight, but then I'm gaining it back and then I'm losing it and then gaining it. Like it was very bad. It was bad in that sense, but I knew that there was something off. And finally in 2020, I stopped. So it took me like 6 years to stop, which is crazy. That's how deep it ran. But you can always defeat that too. It can take years though. If it's very severe, it can take a long time. Because I had to make a lot of changes in my life to get out of it. I had to change the boundaries I had with people to get out of it. I had to change how I handled my feelings, like my emotions and stuff. I had to do a lot of stuff to get out of it. And that took it took like 6 years. So it's tricky. But yeah, I was not a part of fat acceptance, thank God. Because if I was, then what if I had to try another 6 years, like later in life, I might not be here anymore. I might have been too unhealthy, you know? So, and there have been people where they have passed because they were trying to fight their BED, but it was too late. Like you really need to be fighting that from a very young age because it takes a long time and it is damaging. This is such a nice little chat. Got a little dark there, little 7, but yes, it is. Thank you. And most of these people are alleged leftists. So it's just like, what? You're going to eat corporate food until you can't help your own community? Okay. Yeah, I think it doesn't make any sense, honestly. I think it's just people making excuses for what they're doing, like whether it's an ED or an addiction. It's usually probably one of the two when it comes to most fat acceptance people because of the way they act. They're hiding it. They're like trying to dispel guilt over it, right? Like all these different things. And it's like the thing that floors me about fat acceptance or fat activism is just that they try to make a whole political movement out of their mental health issue. And it's like, whoa, that's wild. That is like really wild to me. I barely dipped my toe into fat lib when I was at my highest weight, but then a prominent FA posted about how they could no longer. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know, Laura. Scarring. And I'm not here to judge anybody or whatever, but it's like, if you have gained a lot of weight to where you can't do that, it's like maybe it is a reality check, you know? Let's not forget the real people in our lives when we get healthylicious. Yeah. Skinnylicious. When I'm skinnylicious. I'm just kidding. I love that word because it's so like, I don't know. I just know it's like a thorn in their side, you know? It's like, oh, that's like my bitch troll side. That's why I love it. I love it because that's when I go into bitch mode. And I'm telling you, gosh, I wish that fat activists were actually brave and would actually debate and stuff because I would love to just be like, I'm feeling skinnylicious today. And then they'd get all pissed off. Like it would just be so funny. But you know, they don't because they're not brave at all. I I used to work in NA groups and was surrounded by a lot of addicts, and there's so many similarities. Yeah. When I think too, it takes a lot to even know. Like, because for me, I always assumed I had food addiction, but I didn't. I had BED, which they look really similar, but they're not. And I do think sometimes they can overlap too, which makes it even worse. But for me, when I would try to treat it as an addiction, it would make it worse because it would encourage the cycle, because it can become a part of that like internal conversation of an ED, of like, I'm an addict, this is an addiction, and I wasn't. I had an ED. So it takes a lot of self-awareness. Like, that's why I really try to push on this channel at this time. Like, if you're super morbidly obese, like, really reflect on why you are, because only you can really know why. And I think so many times when people are eating like that, they don't ever want to think about it. They just, I know in BED, like, you sometimes dissociate while you're eating. And so it's like you really don't even want to think about it at all. And you have to. Like, you have to be like, why am I eating so much? And just like, it could be multiple reasons, but it's like, really think about it. Like, why? Because I don't know, people don't ever talk about it. They don't ever talk about like people figuring out why they are, because it's such like I don't know, it becomes taboo even to yourself. Like, you don't want to look at yourself, or you don't want to look at why. And that was tough for me, because I remember like it was hard for me at first to be like, I'm fat because I eat so much. Like, that was really hard for me to say out loud, like, in the beginning. And it's really weird to think about that, but it's like, yeah, like when I was like 20 years old, I couldn't just say that. Like, I couldn't just be like, I'm fat because I eat so much. It's like, I couldn't say it out loud. It was crazy. So it's so wild to me. Also, losing weight / gaining muscle has changed my personality. I used to be a pushover and was thinking recently why that was. I think it's because I was also literally physically weak. Totally agree with that. Yes, and I agree. Truth hurts, that it will set you free. I totally agree with that. And I think that was just, it's difficult because like, I think in addiction, I don't know exactly, like, don't mark my words, but I think when somebody's addicted, that kind of like shaming aspect can be more beneficial. But when you're in an ED, it's like very unhelpful. So it's really like difficult to, because they almost require almost completely opposite solutions, which is really hard to like process because they look so similar, but they require almost completely opposite things. Because like in ED, shame will make it worse. Oh, no problem, Laura. I'll probably get going soon-ish, but yeah. No problem, don't worry about it. It'll still be up, so but yeah, so I think, um, I was just like, I have to, when you're in the ED, the shaming aspect, it makes it worse, basically. So it can feed into the restriction side of the cycle. Because if you were to consider an addiction, which I don't think it's the same, it's more like an obsessive compulsion plus addictions. It's like a both of them. But what you're actually quote unquote addicted to, or like what the actual compulsion is like an addiction to weight cycling and dieting. That's what it is. So that's the actual thing. It's not about the food. And I think that that's hard for some people to understand. But like for me, it wasn't about the food. It's about the actual act of doing the diet, then breaking the diet, then doing the diet, then breaking the diet. It's like that's the whole thing. And then hating my body feeling better about my body if it's smaller than hating it when it's bigger. It's like you go back and forth, and that's kind of what you're just caught on that loop. And that's really hard. But like, if somebody were to tell me you're an addict, this is why you're doing it, it's so unhelpful, because it would just feed into that restriction side of the cycle. And I'd say, yes, I'm an addict. So let me do a crazy diet that's totally unsustainable so that I can continue the cycle. So it's really tricky. And that's why I've had moments where I've been kind of blackpilled a little bit about, like, I know that's bad to say, but where I'm just like, gosh, like, this issue is so entrenched and it's such a difficult thing and it's not an easy solution. Like, there is no one size fits all here. Like, different people require different approaches, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is really hard to do, or like really hard to talk about in terms of like activism and stuff, because it's not easy, because we don't all end up there in the same way. And like, I've heard people talk about having a food addiction, and they're, like, I was talking to Big T Bariatric, and he's like, it's so hard because it's available everywhere. It's always around, it's in your face, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere. And it's like, for me, I never had that problem because I could very easily do a diet. Um, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's tough. That's so tough, because I think in that case, it is an addiction, because it's about the actual food. And so I guess what I would say to start with is like, is it about the food or is it about your body? And that's like a really good question to ask yourself, because I think that can kind of help you understand where it's actually coming from. And sometimes you'll feel like it's one, but it's actually the other. So you just have to kind of see. But it's tough. It takes a lot of self-awareness to get out of it. It really does. It really does. Hello, David. I already told them we did a collab, David. We did an OF collab together, so I'll have to share the link. But oh my God. Yes, I'm an introvert, life after losing, super introverted. So I think very deeply. And I totally get that, life after losing, and that's totally fine. But I'll hold up the introvert side of the discussion. Even though I understand most introverts would be like, I don't ever want to be a YouTuber. This is horrible. I get it. But I got over it, I guess. I don't know. It's like, whatever. But anyways, you guys, I think I probably should get going soon, but because again, I'm a working queen. So I will probably get back to you guys later. I get to have a wonderful moment of making my utilities, which is so much fun, so real. But I will talk to you guys again soon. I'll be back next Friday for another stream. And we're going to continue to fight fat activism. I love it. I love it when I say that, because they really hate it. Like, part of me wonders if what's her face, Fat Fab Feminist, was talking about me when she was like, I hate the morally righteous anti-fat activist or whatever. I low-key wondered if she was talking about me, but I'll just keep doing it. Be the salt in the wound, the thorn in your side. All those things, Victoria. But anyways, thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye, y'all.